there, my name is Bianca. I am 16 years old, and I want to tell you about the time I nearly died. No, this is not an exaggeration. This is an absolutely, honest-to-gosh, life flash before my eyes moment that I experienced. It wasn't any typical near-death experience either. It wasn't from a car crash or a medical issue like a heart attack. I was caught in free fall in an elevator plummeting down the shaft to the basement level. I remember the day with clarity, as like a snapshot in my head. I had just gotten my first car a few weeks prior, and I had gotten a part-time job after high school each day to start saving money. It was nothing spectacular, but it paid minimum wage, and I needed the money. It was a Tuesday, and I had just gotten out of my last period of class. I hopped into my car and drove to work, thinking it would be just like any other day. Boy, how wrong was I about that. I pulled into my normal parking space and headed into the building. It was a rather large building, with about 20 floors upward. I had the pleasure of working on the 19th floor, and there was no way I was going to climb 19 flights of stairs. I was messing around on my phone, waiting for the elevator to arrive on the bottom floor to pick me up. Once the door slid open, I stepped inside without any hesitation and pressed my floor button. I slid my phone in my pocket, as I didn't get great reception while I'm in this metal box, and leaned against the wall as the elevator climbed upward. I watched the numbers blink by as I passed each floor, lazily daydreaming as I waited. Around the 11th floor, the elevator suddenly lurched and completely stopped. The lights flickered a bit as it did, and I felt worry begin to gnaw at my stomach. This wasn't right. The elevator had never become stuck before. I was only a few floors from my destination. Why did it have to jam now? I tried pressing the button to my floor a few times, seeing if that would somehow cause it to magically start working again. Unsurprisingly, nothing happened. I pulled my phone out and checked my service. No bars, so it didn't look like I would be calling anyone for help. Did anyone know I was even in here? I noticed the emergency button and quickly pressed it. Nothing really seemed to happen. Maybe it notified someone that there was an issue? I could only hope, or I could potentially be stuck in here all night. It didn't take long for me to begin to feel claustrophobic, and who could really blame me? I'm suspended 11 floors up in a small metal box for who knows how long. I distantly remember hoping that my boss wouldn't be too hard on me for being late when I was technically here the whole time. I began to listen to the little sounds I could hear around me, the low creaks of the metal around me, the sound of my own slightly panicked breathing. I then noticed another, more alarming noise, a sound like electricity going haywire, and snapping sounds, followed by loud clanks on the top of the elevator. Then suddenly, I was no longer touching the floor. My elevator was plummeting down after having had the cables severed in a freak accident that seemed almost impossible. I was screaming, tears burning at my eyes as I flailed in the air as I fell. I just knew this was it, that this was how I was going to die. I couldn't get myself upright, as gravity was no longer keeping me anchored to the floor. I found myself parallel to the floor, with my face facing the floor. It was like I was skydiving, but there was no parachute to cushion my fall. I remember just putting my arms behind my head in terror, and suddenly there was a sound of metal grating on metal as the elevator slammed to the bottom floor. I was thrown onto the floor like a rag doll, and I felt my nose break immediately upon contact. I couldn't even scream anymore, as the hard impact caused my chest to explode in pain. I was in so much pain, and there was blood dripping onto the floor from my nose. Despite the difficult time I was having breathing, and the severe pain I was in, I was somehow alive. I laid there for what felt like hours, but was probably more around 15 minutes before the doors were pried open by the fire department. I was taken to the hospital after being rescued, where I was treated for a broken nose and several broken ribs. I also had a neck brace for quite a while. The paramedics seemed shocked that I was even alive after such a fall. Apparently, when I had fallen, the fact that I was a bit heavier and in an almost flat position when I hit the floor cushioned the impact just a little bit. It's all pure luck that I survived. Don't let my story scare you, however. This isn't something that happens, well, ever. Taking the elevator is actually safer than taking the stairs when it comes to accidents. If you ever find yourself free-falling, I would suggest you pray and try to land parallel. The sound of water trickling echoes in the room, each drop slowly crashing into a sachet of fluid. Drip, drip, drip. A continuous symphony of smooth droplets slowly disintegrating into what sounds like a narrow stream. The trickling sound is then accompanied by an uninterrupted beeping, each soprano beep pausing for half a second before continuing. The sound soon accompanied by what sounds like air flushing through an air vent above. Then soft chattering lingers within the atmosphere, a deep voice and a high-pitched voice. Music followed by voices, echoes in one particular location, each sound amounting to an orchestra. Everything is black, but the sound of these things painting a colorful picture in my imagination. I try sharpening my ear at an attempt to make out what the voices are talking about. Nothing. The sound of everything floods into my ears. I could not focus on one thing without hearing everything else around me. I try filling the darkness with light. My eyelids squeeze tightly, but it remains dark, pitch black, empty, colorless darkness. I use every ounce of energy to try to move my fingers. A female voice. Did you see that? Her finger just moved. Male voice. It did? Female voice. Baby, Maya, it's Mommy. My heart starts racing, as if it were about to burst out of my chest. The beeping sound begins viciously beeping out of its soft rhyme. Suddenly, I feel a soft touch on my hand. I use every ounce of energy within me to close the hand, but could only close my fingers lightly. I squeeze my eyelids together tightly once more and relax. The darkness is suddenly devoured with bright lights. Angelic whiteness fills my vision. I blink repeatedly as my squinted eyes scan my environment. Everything's a blur. The sound of music, followed by voices I had previously heard, is what I see now as a television mounted right in front of me. I look up through my squinted, blurry vision at a pixelated face, a long-haired, smiling female. I squeeze my eyelids shut and open again. My vision cleared up. It was Mother. Mother. Maya, baby girl, it's your mama, she explained with joy. Her eyes swell up with tears. I look over to my right to see the familiar face of my father, teary-eyed, looking down at me with elation. Father, Maya, how are you feeling? Are you okay? He asked concerningly. My mother calls out, Doctor, she's up. She's awake. A man in a white coat enters my peripheral vision. I turn my neck to get a better view at the man who is approaching me. Doctor, Maya, how do you feel? I open my mouth to formulate words. Lightheaded, I said with a hoarse voice. What's going on? I continued. My mother, father, and doctor exchanged concerning expressions. Doctor, pardon me, what was it you said, Maya? What's going on? Where am I? I repeated. Doctor, Nurse Angelina Hernandez, could you come in here, please? The doctor hollered. The nurse enters the room. Doctor, could you please repeat what you just said, Maya? Do you not understand me? I said. Where am I and what's going on? I explained, growing agitated. Mom, what did she say? My mother asked the nurse. Nurse, she said, do you not understand me? Where am I and what's going on? She's speaking Spanish. Doctor, thank you, Angelina. The nurse leaves the room. The doctor gestures for my mom and dad to follow him out of the room. They go out the hallway, speaking amongst one another with a whisper. I sharpen my ears, trying to drown out all the other noise. I am able to make out the doctor saying I may be experiencing a rare after effect of waking up from months of being in a coma. The doctor went on to explain to my parents that this is a rare neurological disorder that causes a coma victim to wake up speaking a whole new language. In many cases, these victims are fluent in a language they have never spoken before. He then went on to say your daughter is speaking fluent Spanish. Mom: What? How? Does this mean we can't communicate with her? Doctor: No, it seems she understands what we're saying, but she is unable to respond in English. Mom: What? Dad: Well, she was learning Spanish in school last year. Could that be part of the reason? Doctor: I cannot guarantee it, but it could be related. The doctor came in with the nurse again and broke the news to me, the nurse serving as my translator. Doctor: Maya, you're suffering from a rare neurological condition that has caused you to become fluent in Spanish. You may not know it, but you're speaking in Spanish. What? Spanish? How could I be speaking Spanish? But I understand you, I panicked. The nurse translated my words to the doctor. Doctor: Yes, that's a good thing that you still managed to understand English, though. No, it's not. I can't even speak to my mom and dad, I blurted out. Doctor: That's okay. We have a team of speech therapists who will help you regain your English vocabulary. They will teach you how to read, write, and speak in English again by watching movies and reading books. Look at the bright side. You'll be bilingual in no time. Over a couple of months, I had mended a relationship with my nurse who was teaching me how to speak English again. We played fun games that were in English, watched subtitled movies, and read books together. Slowly but surely, I was regaining my English. Although my English had a Spanish accent to it, I am now able to speak broken English to my parents. It became a part of my everyday routine. Every day I asked my parents inquisitively, Mom, Dad, why am I in the hospital and why was I in a coma? They would always change the subject or act like they didn't hear me. I was fed up and forcefully raised the question at them again. Mom, Dad, why am I in the hospital and why was I in a coma? They exchanged looks of concern. My mother leaned over to my dad and whispered in his ears. He responded, Okay. They gently walked towards my bed, towering over me with their innocent, concerned faces. Mom: Maya, baby. Tears began to swell up in her eyes. Dad: Baby girl. Tell me now. Stop avoiding it. I need to know, I said. Mom: You were taken away from Mommy and Daddy. What do you mean, taken away? I asked with confusion. Dad: You went out with your friends to the movies at the mall. Your mother dropped you off. Mom: Your friend said you went to the restroom but never came out. Why? What happened? I said, growing agitated. Dad: A man took you and held you hostage in his home basement for a couple of months. I swiftly sat up from my bed. A couple of months? What man? Why? Mom: Don't worry, baby girl. He's in jail now. Dad: He won't ever get to lay a finger on you again. What did he do to me? I said with my trembling voice, tears beginning to swell up in my eyes. Mom: We don't know, Maya. All we know is that what the police and doctors have told us. I analyzed their faces. I could tell they were hiding something from me. What did the police say? I asked demandingly. Mom: Calm down, baby girl. It's not good for you to raise your blood pressure. You're still recovering. Lay back down, please. No! Tell me what the police said, I said furiously. Dad: The police found you in the darkness of his cold, barren basement. You were lying on the floor, pale, flushed skin. They shook you, but you didn't budge. An officer checked for your pulse, which was very much there, I thank God. The doctor said your stomach was empty, except for some liquid and drugs the man gave you. I sat there in a daze. I could not believe that was coming out of my father's mouth. How could this have happened to me? Why me? I thought to myself. After months of being in the hospital, I regained my ability to speak English again. It's pretty cool that I'm now able to speak fluent English and Spanish. I thank the many nurses that helped me recover and my dear, kind doctor. To this day, I am still shocked with what happened to me. I defined myself as a victim of kidnapping. My parents continued to support and encourage me. They tried acting like it never happened, but I didn't want them to act like it had never happened to me. Being kidnapped has shaped me into the person I am today, and for that, I want to share my story with others, and others who may have been kidnapped as well. I told my parents that I would like to write a book and start a blog for kidnapping survivors. They agreed and offered to help me. My ability to speak both Spanish and English allowed me to communicate with a wide spectrum of individuals. I did not want another girl, boy, or woman to fall victim to kidnapping. I made it my mission to shed light on others that are often pitied and tucked away in the darkness. Another man would not kidnap another girl or boy ever again.